Welcome into a special edition of the In the Money podcast for Sunday, July 3rd. Taking a look at the three graded stakes races, plus the main event up at Woodbine on Sunday. And three of these are on their turf course, and we'll start with the fourth, the Grade 2 Highlander, 6 furlongs on the turf. And we've got Lady Shipman challenging the boys, as she did at Keeneland last fall in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. Can you beat her?
She's pretty good. You know, she's 11 for 16, and look down through here, the only time that she really didn't run well is in Dubai. Everything else she's ran, and she's showed up every time. So I think she's a logical favorite here. She's even money, and she probably won't go off at that. I try to get maybe a little bit of value here. If you're going to play an exacta wheel or a trifecta, I would take her on top. Something extra, too, is the logical second choice, so you're only going to get, $6 for that exacta. But I thought Hootenanny was interesting to me on the outside for Wesley Ward. And Hootenanny, of course, won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf at 70, and then only ran a couple of times in 2015, went to Ascot, didn't do any good, and they laid him off for a while, and he's obviously had some issues, but he's got a lot of talent, and this might be a good spot for him. He's rested since Oaks Day, and he didn't run well in the Turf Sprint and went off as the favorite. I just have a feeling that Wesley might have him ready for a big effort today, and I'm going to put him behind Lady Shipman. He's 10-1 morning line and may go off close to that. So I think she's well spotted for another win here. Something extra is the only horse I see in here that could possibly challenge her. Passion for Action has got some good numbers on the poly track, but not as good numbers on the turf. So I'm going to think Lady Shipman is a solid choice here, but I'm going to try to pair her up with Hootenanny.
Yeah, I thought Lady Shipman was one I couldn't get past either, even at the low price. It's 6 furlongs. Sometimes when they go a little longer than 5 or 5.5, you can get a favorite beat. But she's won at 6 before. She's run well against the boys before. Just so consistent. Drawn down on the inside is probably not the best spot, but I'm going to take her. I've got something extra written on my sheet. I also wrote down the Green Mask. I picked this one on Belmont Day, and he ran okay. And on his best day in that Breeders' Cup race, he was right there, just less than a length behind Lady Shipman. So I give him a small shot. Passion for Action was the other one that I listed. So if you're playing any multi-race wagers, if you want to expand, go with those. But if I'm trying to beat Lady Shipman, I might go for the Green Mask I think it would be a decent amount of value, but I couldn't really get past Lady Shipman either. There is a pick 5 that starts in the 6th race with an ungraded stake, but we're going to move on to the 8th race for the Grade 3 Singspiel at 1.5 miles on that turf course for 3-year-olds and up. You got Aldous Snow, who's really good up there and has run well on these big days before. I ended up going to Danish Dynaformer. Kind of expecting a good day for Roger Adfield. I think this is a little bit of a class drop for this horse. Third start off a layoff. Anything with Dynaformer blood's going to love 1.5 miles. And this is a 4-year-old, so maybe still a little upside left there for Danish Dynaformer, and has run okay on this course before. So I'm going to take him, but it's by no means anything like a single. Aldous Snow, Generous Kitten, Money Talker are the others that I had written down, but Danish Dynaformer's the win pick in the Singspiel for me. How about you?
I'm right with you. I thought I'd surprise you with a 6-1 choice, but I think Danish Dynaformer has a real shot, especially if there's no rain and stays firm. The only time he's had trouble up there is he caught a yielding turf course last year in the Northern Dancer, and then a good turf course in the Canadian International, and he didn't run that well those 2 days. But if you look back at the Breeders, the $500,000 stakes race in August of 2015 at Woodbine, at this distance, 1.5 miles, he won by 7 3/4, and that's pretty impressive with a 95 buyer. So he's got to win at Woodbine at this distance. And I think Aldous Snow and Generous Kitten are going to get over bet here. Aldous Snow is because of the success at Woodbine, and Generous Kitten because of the connections with Mike Maker and Le Peru and Ramsey. But Generous Kitten, this is a huge step up in class for this gelding. Hasn't run in a stakes race before, so I would think he may get over bet here. I'm going to go with Danish Dynaformer in the win as well. I would have to use those other two in any multiple leg wagers, but Danish Dynaformer, if you get him anywhere close to 6-1, I think he's a good bet.
Next race is the Grade 2 Dance Smartly. Fillies and Mares 3 and up, going 1 1/8 on that turf course. And it's a nice group in here. Who did you land on?
This is probably the best betting race of the day. I think I couldn't find a real favorite here. When I looked at that late pick 5, if I was going to play that, I would use 5 horses in here. Probably headed up by Strut the Course, the 5 horse, simply because of the recent really good form. But I like Lexi Lou a lot in here. She's taking on the boys. I'm sorry, this is Fillies and Mares. I'm looking at the wrong race, but Lexi Lou took on the boys a couple of times back at Woodbine and beat them. And she's 2 for 3 at Woodbine. And I think she didn't run that well in the Just a Game at Belmont, but she's back to her home, the best track for her. She's 2 for 3. Won the Grade 2 Nassau at a mile, and I think she fits well here. But Ball Dancing is a long shot for Chad Brown. If you get Chad Brown's horse at 12-1, you better jump on that. And she won the Jenny Lally in spring of 15 at Keeneland. Hasn't done that well since, and has obviously had some issues, but Chad gets them ready off a layoff, and I think that she's got a shot. Peace, the 6, again, Strut the Course is in the best form. And my long shot is the Chinna for Mark Cassie. Ran in the Nassau, ran okay behind Lexi Lou and Strut the Course. If you go back a few races, back in 2015, she was very competitive with these horses, actually beat Strut the Course in the Ontario Matron on the poly track. So I think Chinna is the long shot here at 20-1. I would throw her in there as well. So Ball Dancing, Lexi Lou, Strut the Course, Heath, and Chinna in any multi-leg wagers.
I didn't pick Ball Dancing, but I had the same reaction as you. 12-1 on the morning line on a Chad Brown turf horse. And he struggled to get wins at the spring meet at Keeneland, but has been on fire since then. So you definitely would want to throw that one in there. But I ended up going to Heath. I thought she should like the added distance. The rider, and he's a really strong finisher, and she's a horse that finishes strong in the lane. Got a bad trip last time, really wide, and a soft turf. I think on the firm turf, she might even be a little better than she's shown lately. So that's the one that I went for. But the ones you mentioned are the ones that I would use with her. Lexi Lou, Ball Dancing, Strut the Course. I would use all of those in a multi-race, but Heath is the pick for me. Brings us to the Queen's Plate. 1.25 miles on the Tapeta main track for 3-year-old Canadian foaled horses. I ended up going to Shocky Mott here, who won the Transylvania at Keeneland on the turf, but can certainly run on the synthetic. Has had a couple of really nice works since the plate trial when he finished second. Roger Atfield's won this race several times, and that was a prep, and I think this horse should move forward off that. And I think the workouts suggest that he is now primed for a peak effort. Amise Gizmo, who beat him that day, has got to be on your ticket, I think. The filly Gamble's Ghost, a lot of people really talking up her, and she had some trouble in her last race, so she's got a big shot from the 13 hole. Leave 'em in Malibu is moving up in class for Mark Cassie, but Cassie's obviously dangerous up there. And this horse looks like it's got a lot of talent with a couple of back-to-back wins. But I ended up going for the 6, Shocky Mott in the Queen's Plate. How about you?
Shocky Mott was my second choice. I really liked him coming out of Transylvania. But he did not run that well in the American turf at Churchill. Came back and ran better in the plate trial. But the horse that beat him that day is Amise Gizmo, and I thought he was very impressive. And Josie Carroll always seems to get a horse ready for these big races at Woodbine. So I'm going to take him. For the win bet, I'm going to play Shocky Mott behind him. Esposito, the 11, is coming to hand nicely for Tom Proctor. First trip on the Tapeta, he won a $75,000 optional claimer very easily. And some of these horses, they're unknown when you haven't run them on the synthetic. And when they run a big race, you better look at them the next time because some horses really like it. And Esposito, I think, fits that profile at 8-1, maybe a little bit better. And all on red, the 3 horse is a live long shot, I think, for Cittar. Just claimed it off of Michelle Nevin, and again ran well in his first race on the Woodbine Tapeta. So had a 9 buyer last year at Aqueduct. So this horse is very lightly raced and might have a big shot in here at a price of 12-1. Amise Gizmo is the logical favorite, but I would also use those other horses at exotics.
Nice card at Woodbine on Sunday. Best of luck, and For Jim Goodman, I'm Tom Leach. That's the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.